Hi guys, very good afternoon to you. So in this video, we'll talk about the D family, and I'm going to launch a series on this, part by part, and we'll see that how the Dcount function works, how the sum function works, and there are a couple of more functions like dget. So how we can make a use of these functions, and we'll do it one by one, right? So this is I think that this dlookup function is generally not known to people, so I thought of sharing it with you because it's not just a powerful function, but at the same time it is actually quite it's a very interesting formula, and it can do a lot of things. You can put a lot of different criterias into it, and it looks like more of a like countif function, but it is not exactly same, right? So let's start without wasting the time. So the very first question which we'll do is we'll count the item wheat. Now you might be thinking that I can achieve this with this countif function, like I can give the range and I can tell that this is my the wheat element, and I'll get the count, which is 8, and this I have wheat elements 8 times, right? Let me just filter this and check. So it says 8 times, perfect. So why do we need to actually use the dcount function here? So let's understand that for this particular objective, in order to achieve this kind of a task, definitely you can use the countif, but as we go ahead and we'll explore more about the dcount function, you will see that there are a lot of things which can be done with the dcount, and countif function cannot do that, right? And it's quite interesting as well. So this very important function, what we need to do is first of all, the very first thing which you need to do is you need to create a criteria. Let me just show you how this D function actually works. It has a database, which is this is going to be my database, my table, which covers my all the required headers, and the field says that which field do you want to count. So let's say I'm gonna count the sales. You can write it, or maybe you can say that 2, that's one and the same thing, right? So dcount will count only those headers where you have the numbers. I'll just explain you, right? Now the third thing which is very important and interesting, as I was telling you, that the criteria. So you need to give the criteria. How you define a criteria in the dcount, that's quite interesting. So what you need to do is the element which you need to count, just make a note of its header and just type in that same, right? Remember guys, this has to be exactly the same. It's a case insensitive, but the spellings has to be exactly the same. So I'm going to write here now the wheat. This is how you write the wheat, equals to, again, and within the quotes you put it your this wheat. Now start with the dcount function. Database, that's my database. It's quite simple. What is my field? You can give the field sales or year, whatever, because they have the numbers, numerics. You can't give the status or items, because it is going to give the error, because they are the text entries. And what is the criteria? The criteria is this is how you select the criteria. Let's just press enter. Now you can see here that I've got the answer, which is 8, and this is what exactly we have checked. So let me just put the filter and let me just check that I've got the 8. Yes, they are correct, right? Now 2 questions comes in your mind. The very first thing is that what is the requirement of using this dcount when I can use the countif function, right? And the second thing is, which you might be thinking, is that what exactly I meant when I said that if it is going to be items, then it will not work. If you press enter, you'll see that I'm getting a 0, or maybe if you write here status, you'll get the 0 here, right? The reason is because, see, when you actually use the count function, the count function never works on the text entries. If I want to count these elements, let's say I'm selecting this and I'm thinking that this will return me some number. No, I'm actually doing a mistake here. Count always works on numbers, right? At the same time, if I change this table to this table and I press enter, I'll get the 7, right? Because these are the numbers. So similarly, you need to remember that if you're counting something, you need to give a header which should have a numeric data type. So either you write sales or year, this function will return a value, right? Or maybe you can say that 3. Some people even use this index number. What is the position of this header? So that's one of the same thing, right? I prefer writing it like this here, because then if your table is, if it has 10, 16 or maybe 20 headers, then you really don't have to check that where exactly I am, on what number I am. So by writing simply a text, you can actually come to know that this talks about this header, right? Alright, so let's try to answer the first question, that what is so special about this Dcount, right? So guys, now what exactly we want to do is, let's go further and let's try to count the item wheat, which has a status called in demand. Alright, so how you gonna develop that? So what I'll do is, I'll write here again status, and yes, one thing more, I was telling you, if I'm going to delete this, I'll get the 0. Remember that. So your spellings has to be exactly the same. It doesn't matter whether you write it in caps on or off, it is fine, but your spellings should be correct. So let's write here status, and now in this I'm going to write here in demand, same spelling, and this time let's try to build this function again over here, Dcount. That's my database, and in this database, what is my field? Let's say my field is sales, and the criteria has to be now this. Let us press enter. So you can see here that I have got only just one entry. So let us check. Let me just click on the wheat and let's find it out what is in demand. So as I can see here, as you can see that there is only just one item with the name wheat and in demand, right? So this is how this function actually works. Now again, a third question which comes is, what if you want to count the items which has a name wheat, or items which shows their status as in demand, right? So what you want to do is, you want, on the one side you want to count the items which are wheat, and at the same time you want to count for the rest of the items who whose actually status, which has the status called the in demand. So if I drag this point here, and now if I come here and I say that Dcount, and this is going to be my database, and what is my field? I'll say the sales field, and the criteria is, now this is my criteria. Before that, I just would like to do one thing. I would like to put equals to here like this, and now let's build this formula. That's my database, and my field is sales, and the criteria is this. Press enter. So you have got 13 numbers, 13 items out of these 20 items. So let's now check that what difference it has brought when we actually dragged it from this cell G2 to G3, right? Let us first of all calculate the wheat element. How many times I have got the wheat here? I don't have any criteria in front of the wheat. The status is blank, right? So the wheat element appears here 8 times, right? Alright. Now the next thing, let me just remove the filter from here. Let us keep a note that wheat is coming 8 times. So I'm just writing it here. What exactly is the next thing? The next thing is in demand. So I'm gonna click on the in demand now. And now we'll see that how many times we have this element in demand. So we have this element 5 times, right? 5 times. I'm excluding this, remember this wheat, because wheat is already counted in this criteria. So we'll exclude the wheat portion, and for the rest of the items we have given the criteria that every item has to be, only those items should be counted other than the wheat which shows their status as in demand. So they are actually 5. So 8 plus 5 is what you get here as a 13. So guys, what you understand by this is that this is more of a OR criteria. This works on OR, right? So what we are doing is we are saying that you count the wheat element, right, and the same time OR also count the in demand items. It has nothing to do with the wheat or rice or milk. It says simply that whichever item status is showing in demand, it should be counted, right? Now let's go ahead and let's try to manipulate this further. And so maybe you would like to count count item wheat which is, let's say, which has status, let's say, in demand, or maybe I'll say that out of stock, and count all items which has, let's say, in demand status. So what we want to do is we are saying here that we need to count first the wheat item whose status should be in demand, out of stock, and at the same time from the rest of the items, whichever item has this status in demand, it should also be counted, right? So what exactly you are going to do this time is, let me just copy this again and paste this here. Now this time it would be equals to wheat. Now we are going to work on the AND condition, because wheat is now be combined with a status which is going to be out of stock, right? Let's just create some space here. And the second thing which we are supposed to do is we are going to count all the elements which has the status in demand. So that's why I'm keeping this H3 as blank. Just color them so that we can actually give them a different look. We can separate them from the rest of the cells. So now how your Dcount will understand this function, it will say that the things which are written next to next, they'll take it as a AND. So this is more of a wheat should be counted only when it is going to be out of stock, right? And for this, since this is a blank item, so all the items will be counted, but their status has to be in demand. So let us quickly build this function. Dcount. I'm going to give this a database, and the field would be, let's say, sales, and the criteria has to be this. I'll select this entire criteria and press enter. So I've got here 8 such items. It's time to do this R&D, and let's check whether we got on the right numbers or not. So I'll simply first of all check the wheat element, how many times I've got the wheat out of stock. So wheat out of stock is 2 times. Perfect. Now let's check for the rest of the items in demand, and I'll exclude the wheat. So how many times I've got? 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. So they are the 5, and the wheat was showing me I think 2, right? So maybe 5 plus 2 gives us the 7 number. Let us just check again. Maybe I did some mistake. Wheat, and we have here out of stock. It's actually 2 times. So and if I do the filter on the in demand, this is going to be counted as the entire element even this is including the wheat as well. Yes, it will count the wheat, guys, because of the fact that we have specifically said that the wheat should be counted as out of stock. So what it is doing is it is keeping the out of stock separate, right? If I would have changed this, just now pay attention to this, you'll come to know what exactly I mean. If I would have changed this equals to out of stock to in demand, then my wheat in demand should have been excluded from this list, right? Because it is already going to be counted. Now if I press enter, let's just create a space, and now let's go back to our formula, and as you can see here, now I've got here the 6 number, right? And so what it does is it is going to create this wheat in demand for me. It is going to count this, and this is only the one, and then if I filter back on the demand and I exclude the wheat portion here, because wheat is already counted there, right, in demand. So how many elements? 1 2 3 4 5. 5 plus 1 will return the 6 number, right? But in case if I make this in demand to out of stock, then what will happen is, even if the wheat would have this in demand status, it will be counted in this option, in this criteria, because this criteria is open for everything, and that's why it's giving us the 8 result, right? So for example, let's try to take a deep dive into this, and let's try to explore it. Maybe let's put up some more questions. So what if you want to count the wheat with the out of stock, and let's say you want to count the rice with the in demand? This is how you'll write. It will get the 4, right? Let us check. So we have the wheat out of stock, I think 2 times. Still I would check 1 2, perfect. And now let's go to the rice, and let's check that how many times I have got it. 1 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, right? So this works on a more of a your condition, which is and. Wheat is going to be followed by out of stock, rice is going to be followed by in demand. Now just imagine if I delete this, what would happen? If I delete this in demand, what do you think what would be the output? Definitely wheat will be counted as out of stock, but for the rice every option will be open, so it will take all the status in the calculation. So we know that for the wheat out of stock, we have seen that the count is 2, so we would be concentrating only on the rice, and I'll just click on the rice and I'll see that how many times I have here. So it is 4 times. 4 plus 2 is 6, which is the result I'm getting. So this is how you can actually put the n number of criteria together, right? So now before I wrap up this video, maybe we can put up some more questions, just one more question, and maybe we can say that let's say you want to count item, all those items which actually comes after, let's say, year maybe 2004, right? So I'll write here year, and I say that equals to, within the quotes, greater than 2004, okay? And if you leave this open, then this will be counted for every item. So let's try to build this Dcount database, sales, and the criteria. Just press enter. So we have got the 6 elements. Let's quickly check. So greater than 2004 is this, this, and this. How many elements we have? Sorry, 2001 should not be selected, 2003 should not be selected, and 2005 and 13 are only the year. So how many elements we have? 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So we have got the 6 elements. Perfect. So that's how you can count. Now what if you want to count let's say the items like wheat and rice after year 2004? So how will you write it, right? So definitely you can do this stuff. You can write here rice, and you can say that 2004. Okay, now let me just modify this function. So I'm going to write here the criteria, So wheat will be counted after 2004 and rice will be counted after 2004. Let us press. So we have only got the 2 entries, right? So let's quickly filter on rice and wheat, and then let us check how many numbers we have got. So 2005 is the one of is just the one number. So I've got only wheat here, there is no rice. So 2 is the answer, which is what I'm getting here, right? So this is how you can do this stuff. Now what if you want to count, let's say if I change this criteria to this, you see that now it gives me 12. What does that mean? Now it means that it is going to count the wheat for every year, and for the rest of the items it should be counted greater than 2004 only. Please pay attention to this, guys. This is something very interesting, and I think this is more of a like the proper usage of this dcount function, right? So what it is doing is it is counting, since we don't have we don't have any criteria in front of the wheat. So how many times we have the wheat here, we'll just simply click on the wheat and we'll see that it is appeared as 8 times. Alright, so let me just write it here, 8. Now let's filter on this year and let us check that how many times we have got the entry greater than 2005 and 2013 are the entries, the years which are greater than 2004. And so you have here the wheat is already calculated, as you know that because we have not given any criteria. So I'll exclude the wheat, and how many times I have it, 1 2 3 4. So 8 plus 4 will give me 12. Perfect, right? So this is how you can actually make the combinations of your choice, and you can use this a very powerful function called the dcount function, right? Another thing which you can use with this function is, what if I ask you, and this is going to be very interesting, you see this, I want to calculate the sales which are greater than 90 equals to greater than 90, and at the same time I want to count the sales which are less than, let's say maybe 20, right? And I just forgot to write this smaller sign. So now what is going to happen? You are not counting any number between 20 and 90. You're counting the numbers which are greater than 90, and at the same time which are not at the same time, I mean to say, but in your this table which are lesser than this 20, right? Now if you try to use the countef function, you will not be able to get this result if you're thinking of using the countefs, right? Because a number either can be greater than 90 or it can be greater than 20, right? It can't be both, right? So if you try to use this countef function, maybe you would say that, alright, so I'll give the criteria here, this is my criteria, and I'll say that greater than 90, and in this situation I'll put the criteria again, and I'll say that it has to be less than 20. I press enter. This is not going to work, because countefs always works on the AND conditions. Everything has to be true. So if in my this range B2 to B21, if I have some number which is greater than 90, it can never be lesser than 20, right? So either of them option is going to be qualified, right? So with the help of the dlookup function, what you can do is, dcount. Dlookup is actually MS Access database function. So I don't know, somehow I keep on it just comes out from my mouth actually, dlookup, because I use it a lot in MS Access. Alright, so give this database and the field. Now field has to be, let's say, sales, and in the criteria you will select this now. Alright, so we're getting some error here. Let us check what exactly is the error. So my table was not selected, my bad. The table has to be this. right? Now the table is selected, so I have got here 9 elements. So let us quickly check. So greater than 90, so greater than 90 would be, I have here 3 elements, perfect. And less than 20, less than 20, I've got here 6, right? So 6 plus 3 is 9. So this is how you can actually use this dcount function, right? And you can further, you know, put n number of criteria here as well, right? For example, you can say that let's say you want to check those items which are greater than 90 but their status has to be in demand, or maybe you can say that you know, whose status is, let's say, out of stock. You might be interested in getting those items which are out of stock but really their sale is very high, and you really don't want to, you know, lose your business. You want to make sure that out of stock elements which are giving very good amount of sale, you know, they should always be in stock, so you can, you know, check out from here. And similarly for the less than 20, you want to again check out of stock. Or maybe you can do the reverse. You can check here that the sales where I'm getting less than 20, but at the same time they are actually in demand, right? So this is how you write equals to, and now it is giving me the same result. So I guess maybe there is no changes, but we would like to take a okay, so we haven't increased the range actually, my bad. So I'm going to expand this and let us check what we get. Oh, we have just one item. That's very interesting. So let us check. So for greater than 90 out of stock, so I'm going to filter here and I'm just going to say here greater than 90. How many out of stock? Oh, I don't have any. So that's perfect. I mean, everything is good, in demand or moderate, right? Alright, so what else is left? Less than 20 and in demand. The sales is not good, but they are still in demand, so I would like to, you know, continue with them. You know, this kind of analysis you can do. So I'll say that less than 20. So as you can see here, there is just one item in the year 2005 which was in demand and the sale was not so good, you know. So I mean, this is just a hypothetical situation, guys. I'm just trying to explain you the formula, right? So I hope you loved this video, and if you like the video, just don't forget to click on the like and do subscribe to my channel. And this is my email ID. I would like to wait for your comments. What do you think about my videos? And this is the video number 94. Watch out for all the rest of the videos, and I can, you know, assure you that whatever video you are actually going to watch, it is going to be worth for you, right? You'll definitely gain some knowledge out of it, right? So that's it for now, guys. I'll meet you with another video in the same series. Maybe next time we'll talk about some another D family function like dsum. So till then, take care and bye bye.